Welcome back to In the Spotlight. With us on the phone right now is Bob Grogan. He is the former DuPage County Auditor who lost his 2020 election bid by 75 votes. In a partial recount, it was very much discovered that possibly Bob actually won. So the judge has ordered a full recount, and I don't know if you knew it, but on Friday, there was a huge discussion as to who was going to have to pay for this recount and how much would it actually cost. Now, the county clerk wants to tell us that it's going to be upwards of $300,000. That's an enormous amount of money for this recount and may be prohibitive to go forward. But we need to know the truth about what happened in that election. And so Bob Grogan joins us now on the phone to discuss that matter and more. Yeah. Bob, welcome to the program.
Pleasure to be here.
Great. So could you start off with just giving us a little bit more detail about how the case is involved? I know it was the end of December when you actually filed a court case saying that you now want to initiate a full recount. We're now at the end of June, 6 months later, and we're getting roadblock after roadblock to actually get the work done to do this. How do you move this forward?
Yeah, so, it's interesting. I led on election night, and I led for 13 days after election night until the final night, 2 weeks afterwards, that they get to count the final ballot. And that's where I finally was upside down by the 75 votes, which is less than, 0.02%, right? So it's statistically, it's a tie. And, I'm a professional auditor by trade. I'm a certified fraud examiner. And so I said, let's just go and look, right? That's what you do. You go and look at things. And we found so many errors, by looking at just a quarter of the ballot, that we found enough to overturn the election. So every step of the way, the judges, every ruling pretty much has been with us. But Illinois is designed to keep out the riffraff, right? Only the professionals, only the insiders, need apply, and they don't want anybody looking behind the curtain. And so the latest roadblock is, as you said, there is a thing in the statute that says if there's extraordinary costs, the judge can order that they come from the person that's asking for the recount. And the clerk, she Christmas treed the whole thing up and put in everything for, the lawyer for 3 solid weeks at 8 hours a day, as if that lawyer isn't going to be doing other billable work, right? It's every one of the staff in the election office for 3 solid weeks, as if they're not going to do anything else during that time. And oh, by the way, that's not extraordinary. Those salaries are already budgeted for, already covered.
Right.
I get a few expenses I have skin in the game. That would be fine. But they're literally trying to make it prohibitive when what we found already, I've won.
That's right. And so you find out that she has fumbled the election in 2020. There's a lot of sloppiness in the record keeping, and yet you're going to have to win. You're going to have to pay to correct her mistakes. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right.
What was the ruling on Friday?
So the ruling on Friday was, so we had asked for 3 things. We'd asked the judge either to make us not pay, we'd asked the judge to reduce the pay, or we asked the judge, hey, can we at least depose the staff that came up with these numbers to understand what they're doing? One of the things that they're asking for instance, is they want to rent a piece of machinery, a scanner, for $50,000 that they don't currently have, don't use to count ballots, and to rent it and have a staff person or an outside person man that scanning machine. If it wasn't necessary for the first go-round, I don't understand why it's necessary for this go-round. So the judge ended up saying, hey, why don't we do the deposition? Why don't you get the head of the election division in here, and we'll do so. Get to ask him some questions. And so that's another 2 weeks kicking it down the road. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just an accountant, and I will tell you, it's unbelievable. Every question, the answer is a month later. You'll get the answer. It's just unreal.
Did she have to line item any of this to say, here's how it adds up to $300,000? Yes. What is it? Yes. All salaries?
It's salaries. It's paying 60 election judges for 3 weeks at $20 an hour, which I will tell you, God bless election judges, but $20 an hour is quite the premium It used to be that they were getting paid, I think, $10 an hour back, pre-COVID.
Right.
And the state's supposedly not on the lockdown anymore. So that was like 120,000 of it was that. And all this is so like, if I stop, we literally leave it with, well, the other guy won, but we have enough mistakes to overturn it, and we just don't know. I mean, it's kind of like calling and asking a girl out on a date and not leaving a message, and it just, she didn't pick up, and then you just never call back. You don't know what the answer would have been. I mean, it's unreal. This way, go ahead.
The other thing about it, Bob, is it's what she's doing is not ordinary or custom when you look at other recounts around the state. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they just had a countywide recount from down in Decatur area for the sheriff's race, and they decided, you know what, we're not going to charge anybody. It's so close. It's statistically a tie. And when they went and recounted it, the cost, even though they didn't charge anybody else for it, the cost to the county were about $7,500. Now it's a smaller county, so they hand counted about 40,000 ballots, but even extrapolating that out, it doesn't come even near, for my 400 plus thousand, it shouldn't even come near $300,000 in costs.
For sure. And listen, I've pulled the data. I was a candidate during that race. I'm very curious about what happened and what the voter database looks like. So I pulled it. I have the December information. I have the June information, and I've been doing some comparisons on stuff. And so we know that there's 128 voters over the age of 100 who voted in 2020. 37 of them voted for the first time that I can see since going back to 2016. Some of them are, 3 of them are 121, 121, and 119, which would make them the 3 oldest people in the entire world, but they all happen to reside in DuPage County, and they all happen to have voted in 2020. So, I mean, even if this is a mistaken data point, maybe on their birth date, which is what some are maybe perhaps claiming, although we have evidence suggesting that these people are actually dead, but they still voted. I mean, regardless, the bottom line is that the database is a mess, and and it's very sloppy record keeping at under Kaczmarek. I mean, some of this probably goes back past her time to some degree. But here's what we do know. I just got a message from somebody who's helping me on this little project, and they said that when they compared the December voter list to the June list, just for one township, and using the voter ID, that there were over 4,800 voter IDs that were unmatched, which means that they showed up on one list but not the other list, and that 296 of these were first-time voters in 2020 alone, going back to 2010. And so these 296 people, they were on the December list. They only voted in 2020, did not vote for the past 10 years, but they were not on the June voter list. So they just disappeared. These are like your textbook cases of phantom voters. And 23 of those people were same-day registrations. So she seems to be able to clean up the voter rolls when there appears to be phantom voters, but not when there's 121-year-olds.
That is so suspicious.
And the frustrating thing is, and for people who have, tried to participate in the body politic for a long time,
right?
They know the frustration that they've made it really hard to remove somebody from the voter rolls.
Yep.
So we've all had to deal with, I'm a precinct committeeman. I know you guys, work in precincts, and your neighbor Gertrude passed away. It was tragic. She passed away not too long ago. You tell the election folks, and they're like, well, we can't just take your word for it. Whereas it used to, they could do that. So it's truly hard to remove people, and yet somehow I asked them for a list of everybody who voted. This was 3 weeks after the election. I asked for a list of everybody who voted, and then I compare that list to the number of ballots, and there are 1,626 more ballots than there were people on the list that voted. Now, typical, they're coming back and saying, oh, well, you didn't ask on election day. It's an active database. Things happen. Well, we can't remove people with a note from literally God calling them home, right?
Yeah.
God calls somebody home, we can't get them removed from the list. Yet somehow 1,626 people who voted voted just 3 weeks before come off the roll.
And same day registered.
But Bob, here's the deal. She should be able to verify that, quantify that, show you the list before and after, and she can't do that, is my understanding.
I've asked, I'm like, hey, show me the data, the audit logs of, hey, we deleted these people, then just tell me their names. I mean, any database worth its salt has that kind of information. Or if it doesn't, you pull out the manual file. This is the file that we keep of everybody we delete because somehow the system doesn't track it anymore.
That's right.
And I'm just curious, what's the hurry, if that's true, if they're deleting names, what's the hurry in deleting names literally while there was an active recount going on?
Right.
Like, where's the downside? Maybe the person moved to another place. Okay, then you flag it, you make them inactive. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be a lot of statuses where you copy the file over to something else.
She's got another problem, too, because apparently she was asked, did you, prior to sending out all of these absentee ballot applications, which she was required to do by law, and she did a more extensive send than was required by law, but that's another story. But prior to doing that, she was asked, did you take your database and measure it against the national change of address base? And she said no. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't willing to clean up the database prior to sending out, at great expense to the taxpayers, all those applications. But within 3 weeks, while the election is still being recounted, she cleaned it up and got rid of them. I don't believe any of it.
Something's up. And why would you not want to show your work on this one?
Right. And so I, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on TV almost. She's in a tough place because either she failed to preserve the records from the election, or she's got too many ballots. It's one or the other, and they have an obligation to retain the records. Now, I've heard through the grapevine, we're not statutorily required to blah 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 blah. Well, I'm sorry. The list of people who are eligible to vote and who voted, if it doesn't get more core than that, I mean, whether it's in a statute or not, that is one of the most essential parts of an election, is that you have that information. It's kind of like in A Few Good Men, where all of a sudden he says, wait a minute, you mean in 4 years at Gitmo, you never went to lunch? Mm-hmm. It's like, it has to be in writing to know you actually have to do it. And obviously keeping an accurate voter database is vital.
Yeah.
Vital.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we do know that there's been some fraud going on. We're going to close out this segment, and we're going to just on Friday, the DuPage County State's Attorney charged a Wheaton woman with election-related perjury and forgery. Mm-hmm. She ran unsuccessfully this spring in Milton Township as a Milton Township trustee for the Democrat side. Mm-hmm. Her name's Sudan Cain. She lives in Wheaton, and she's charged with 3 felony counts of forgery and 4 felony counts of perjury. Mm-hmm. And they allege that on January 20th, she completed online applications to vote by mail 4 times using the names of other DuPage residents. So it's just interesting. She is the 6th election fraud case that Bob Berlin is prosecuting. Some of those he found or he's looked into, rather. Yep. She's going to be back in court, it looks like July 26th. But it's just interesting because, we've got a little clip of her just saying why she's running for election. So she's not just a resident. She actually was running for election. Mm-hmm. And committed election-related forgery and perjury. But, the Democrats said they're just holier than thou. Everything's on the up and up. Take a brief listen to Sudan Cain telling you why she's running.
Hi, everybody. I'm candidate Dr. Sudan Cain.
Dr. Sudan Cain.
And if I could write a book about why I am running for office at the Milton Township, it would be, Oh, the Good We Will Do, taken from the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go.
They're the best people.
I'm running because we have experienced a serious threat to our democracy. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that we have to hit the reset button and improve government functioning at all levels.
That's probably good.
That's good. There you go. Mm-hmm. She's running for all the good they can do, and she's running because there's been a threat to our democracy. Yeah, when you forge people's names on election ballots as alleged, that is a threat to democracy. Bob, am I missing something here?
No. So when the ends justify the means, when when they are so obsessed with, that truly the other side is evil, and that can go both ways. I mean, this is not an exclusive thing to our side.
You're right.
But, in this last cycle, they have the levers of power, and now she's not in an official capacity, but I think that they're unafraid, and unashamed to use the levers of power to maintain power. And then you have people who they can justify just about anything because the other side is so bad. And, I actually I've heard her talk, and it's just amazing that, democracy is multifaceted, but the core foundation is that we actually just let, everybody gets one man, one vote.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Except for her, which apparently she needed 5. Right? So, I think that she throws all the civil rights cases that we all value out on its ear.
No kidding. So, I'll tell you what, it starts with basically, we hope that you're successful. We hope that, even if she comes back with $300,000 bill, I think we're all going to put in, $10 each. We'll raise the money. We'll make sure this happens, because there's no doubt in my mind that you legitimately should be the DuPage County Auditor at this point. There's no doubt in my mind that the clerk does not understand her own election system. It's way over her head, and she's not interested in actually getting the experts in there to solve it. And there's no doubt in my mind that the pushback begins locally. You have locally got to push back and put in place people who really care about doing things right and do not have such an ideological bent as you see with the likes of Sudan Cain.
And Bob, we don't think that you should have to pay for this investigation, but should you have to, where can people go to donate to that effort?
Sure, and I have to say, I get choked up with the people that send the $10 and the people that I haven't seen in 30 years that send a check from South Carolina or something. But people can go to my website, Vote Grogan. It's GROGAN.com. VoteGrogan.com. And God bless everybody. Send money, prayers, and shoe leather, because we'll need volunteers too.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Bob, for taking on the fight.
Thank you, guys.